You are in orbit with Launch Team 6352, and today I'm here with...
I'm Aarush Pande. I'm a computer engineering student at Georgia Tech.
And I'm Deep Patel. I'm an electrical engineering student at Georgia Tech.
Nice. So, first of all, it's great to meet you guys. These are the first college students we've had on our podcast before, so, take it as you will, and maybe set an impression for the rest if you want. But the whole reason, we first met obviously at the First Worlds, and you guys had Georgia Tech had a booth there, obviously. What was the experience like in terms of having a booth promoting your college at such a big event like the World Championships was?
Well, honestly, I don't know what I was expecting going into it. So I've been at Worlds for 3 years before we came to a booth as part of our FTC teams and then FRC the last year. So I kind of knew what the World experience was going to be like overall. And the booth was just completely different. So as a team, you have load in, you have all of you keeping your team together, your hotels. As part of a booth, you really are there to show students what it's like at your university, at your college, and kind of give them advice for applying, a preview into what their lives would look like in the college, and just, you're there for inspiration, recognition of science and technology, right? We're there to inspire, to show what comes next, what happens when all of these engineers, future engineers, innovators go into the next stage, which would be college and competitive robotics.
Yeah, for me, it was my first time ever going to Worlds, so I was kind of excited about that. Also, I felt like it was a way for me to give back to my community because FRC was a huge part for me in high school, kind of the reason why I decided to come to Georgia Tech in the first place and continue with electrical engineering. So this felt nice to talk to a bunch of students who felt like they were in the same path as I was, where they're going into college, they're looking for what should I look for as a student, as an upcoming freshman? What colleges should appeal to my characteristics or what I need for a freshman.
Okay, and I guess to build off of that, you guys are both engineering majors, obviously, but what's the difference between college and high school? And I know the level of college is probably much higher, but with all the skills that you learned through FRC, is there how big of a difference is that between all the work you have to do in college versus stuff you learn in high school?
Yeah, so I'm part of another robotics team here at Georgia Tech called Robotics. So honestly, going from FRC into another robotics team, we use pretty much basically all the same tools. We have a same shop set up, everything like that. Most of the members have been a part of FTC, FRC before. So it really just kind of felt like it was FRC all over again, except we're just working on something else. So we have a bunch of car teams on campus. I'm part of Robojacket, so I'm part of the combat robotics side of things. So we work on making 30-pound, 12-pound, and 3-pound robots to fight at different competitions around the US. So coming in with FRC already under my belt, I already felt like I already had the CAD experiences I needed to get myself and start working on robots rather than just sitting around in shop and just being oh, I'm new here and I don't really know what's going on. So I feel like FRC kind of just helped me get into the groove of college.
Yeah, and honestly, the engineering curriculum, even the classes you take, being on FRC or a first team really helps with that as well, because it's all of the similar concepts, the coding's similar, the ME classes are similar. It's almost like FRC is a bridge between the content you learn in high school and then the content you learn in college to help you prepare for your jobs. And I think that's a big thing, right? FRC really prepares you for the job market almost from the get-go.
Yeah. I know for my experiences, building a resume and stuff like that, FRC is already one
It's
slot that's already
huge.
taken up, and I have so many skills to share. Yeah. So especially job market, like Aarush was saying, you already have so many skills you can talk about at career fairs and to just meet and greets. You have a lot of things that employers are looking for already.
Yeah, that's true. Especially with how competitive the job market is getting. Even I'm saying as a high school as well. It's competitive for us. I can't even imagine what it is for you guys. But you mentioned combat robotics, right? So what's the? I mean, I know you said there's similar skills, but in terms of the actual competition itself, what's the difference between combat robotics and the FRC competition, for example?
I would say FRC coming from a team of 30 students, this feels more it's just a team of 10 students, or sometimes I'm the robot that I was working on was just me and a friend. Like you just kind of, it's like smaller groups. And I know a bunch of other teams across Georgia Tech, like some of the car teams, they go into like 100+ students. So like you already kind of have a feel for like working as a team, and you know what your role is going to be. So coming into this, like I already have like teamwork. I understand like how like a team development, like a team setting would be like, and the skills that I gained through FRC. So like for combat robotics, like the first thing that we did was the entirety of the first semester was just CAD and working on design. Already understanding some like crucial things from FRC is like simpler is better. Have parts that are easily like changeable, because we also have like the same setup where it's like after a match we have to come back into the pit and work on repairing a robot. So kind of already having that skill set under my belt and understanding that when I come back, I want to make sure this robot I can take apart really quickly, fix something, and put it back together. Already having experiences like that really helped me with combat robotics. And I'm sure a bunch of other students could say the same for all their other clubs. Like I'm just part of one of the robotics clubs here at GT. GT has what, over
Yeah,
like
like
100
120,
different like STEM
130
oriented.
clubs.
Yeah. So just out of one of them, I already feel like my skill set that I learned in FRC already applies to this. So
And like, yeah, so Deep is one of the coolest teams in my opinion, like the combat robotics stuff. But I mean, so when I went from FRC into like college, I was looking for something to kind of replace what FRC had like brought for me in high school, which is why I started RI3D as one of the things. But there's a bunch of different clubs. Like you have smaller teams, like the combat robotics teams for the smaller robots, all the way up to the car teams like Deep was mentioning, right? I mean, FRC, like, as far as an organizational perspective, like the business, the fundraising, your awards team, design, build, programming, right? At Georgia Tech and all of these universities, there's going to be like great opportunities and great clubs where you can kind of transfer your skills directly, like Deep was mentioning. And really, college is the time for you to try out what you're going to want to do for the rest of your life, for your job, for whatever passion projects you have, because college is kind of the place where you set some of the stuff in stone. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I guess another piece of it, like if you had to give like one piece of advice to like, let's say there's a senior going to college now, but that don't necessarily have all the skills necessary, and they feel kind of new, as you know, as deep as you were saying. What advice would you give to them? Because it is a very competitive world, and you kind of have to learn very quickly with all these skills that are coming out, especially like related to AI. So, what's something you tell them?
Well, one thing is if they're going into college, a bunch of these clubs, some of them, there's very few that have like applications, like similar to what your high school might have. A lot of them are willing, if you're willing to put in the effort and work together with your team, they'd be more than happy to teach you, like train you, learn like concepts, and just help you out overall. It's a really welcoming environment, and that could be a difference. I know at my high school, to get on some of the teams is really competitive. You have to fill out an application, fill a bunch of forms out, and then finally interviews and selection. A lot of teams here at Georgia Tech and at some of the other engineering universities, it's more about the effort you put in, because classes are different than high school. You get to choose when your classes are and how many classes you take per semester. It's almost like, yeah, you're in control of your time. So the more time you put into clubs, they are definitely willing to take you in if you contribute to, say, improving their mission or working on their club.
yeah. So one thing I would say about college that Aarush was thinking about was the community. I feel like college has been one of the most welcoming communities I've ever interacted with. Like we have a bunch of like new students coming into like, especially for like on my end for combat robotics, like half my team has never touched CAD before. And like for me being part of FRC, like I've been working on CAD since what, ninth grade. So it was kind of like a difference. But we also have trainings just like FRC had, where everyone had to go to meetings. We had electrical trainings, mechanical trainings. College is just such a welcoming community where everyone's out there willing to like help each other. No one's really like cutthroat against each other. It's like, no, I'm gonna like, everyone's kind of just like helping each other out. So even if you're somebody new who hasn't come into any sort of like robotics in high school, and you're coming into college and you're wanting to work on like some cool robots or something like that, you will find a place for you, and everyone will welcome you with open arms.
You're going through the same stresses, the same classwork, the same hard classes together. So it's an amazing environment. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's fair. So I'm getting the impression that you guys are obviously like very happy with Georgia Tech, right? So let's go a little bit more in depth into, your admissions into the college itself, and like, how did you come up with the idea during your college application season to apply to Georgia Tech, and what do you think got you in the first place?
Okay. So I'm an out of state student. So for me, I was part of the group that was kind of just Georgia Tech was kind of like a reach school for me. Like it was a dream school, pretty much. So I'm from Tennessee, so it's only one state away from Georgia, which kind of made it like ideal for me since I wouldn't be going too far away from home. So one of my things that I was worried about was my test grades weren't the best, I would say. They were still pretty high, but for Georgia Tech standards, they were amazing. So I kind of put more of my focus into extracurriculars and especially like robotics. Um, so for robotics, there's leadership and part of robotics. I was electrical captain of my team for a good 2 years. And then my senior year, I was put into the role of team captain. So having leadership experiences and really talking about stories about my robotics team where I showed up, I helped out, and I helped the team progress through the season. Like listing yourself as president isn't going to get you there. You can have a student, like let's say for example, like for my school, let's say somebody was president of like 4 clubs and I was only vice president of one. If I really showcase all the things that I did as vice president and the other student only said, oh, I was president of 4 clubs and that's it, I would more likely have a chance of getting into a school because I told them, I put like numerical values to things like, let's say I did a fundraiser for a certain amount of money. I help more students give an opportunity to come to our club, or just like having stories that you can put out to show your characteristics, to show your development throughout high school. I feel like that's the one thing that helped carry me through. Because as I said, like my test grades weren't great. So a bunch of my application was towards what I did outside of school rather than in school.
Yeah, exactly what Deep said. I know it's so cliche. Tell a story about yourself, like to your admissions counselor or whoever's reading your paper, but it's kind of true. So I'm in state to Georgia, so the process is going to be different from a lot of people applying to Georgia Tech. But really, some of the main things are in FRC or FIRST specifically. I was on FTC for 3 years, so the same skills apply here. Really showcase, like Deep was saying, what skills you learned, what you achieved, and how you applied them. Because most of these engineering schools in particular, but definitely some of the Ivies nowadays, they're looking for what opportunities did you have in your high school or like your life in general, and how did you take advantage of them? So if you started the first year, say, on electrical team, and then you slowly shifted towards, say, design team, right? Tell them why. Like, did design really appeal to you? What type of designs did you like? Did you design in the end? Like, why your major? Why the college? The college isn't the important part for the admissions, I would think. Definitely some are harder to get into, some easier. Test scores matter, but really give your story. Almost walk you through why you're doing what you're doing on your team. And if you are, say, the president of your club or an electrical lead, mechanical lead, especially if you're a lead, really stress how you helped your team grow. Because if you don't do that, colleges are going to get the vibe that you just showed up, did all of the work, and left. So really, really emphasize how you used your own like leadership skills to improve other people's experiences, help other people grow, develop your members, for example. That's one of the big things I give out. Talk about your leadership as opposed to your job position. And as far as test scores go, I had mentioned they don't matter too much. If you think your scores are too low and you're fully convinced of them, if it's optional, feel free not to put them on there. Some colleges will have an optional policy. If you think it's like bad, like it's objectively bad. Like, because remember, there's a bunch of people applying and some people might have lower scores than you and get in. Some might have higher scores than you and get in. If you're really on the edge about a score, then consider not putting it on there. But really, for some of these prestigious engineering universities, your grade patterns matter. So if you start freshman year, I know a bunch of my friends, they started off, some out of state as well. Some of them started off with a B or 2 in freshman year, especially since this was around COVID. But over the years, right, they hit it consistent, A's, and then like even better, like A pluses. So as long as colleges see that you're trying hard to improve your grades, that's what they would care more than your grades itself. Essays, stories. I can't repeat that enough. I was like doing an exercise, reading some example papers where it was just talking about themselves and not really going into depth about why they did things, how they did this, why did they have this experience instead of that experience, or what did they learn? It's dry, man. So read it yourself, have someone else read it that you trust. If you're not comfortable sharing it with someone, obviously everyone understands. Just see if you can get it read by at least 2 other pairs of eyes than your own. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. On the college essay topic, like these admissions officers are going to be reading like 300 essays like a day. They're going to be sitting at their office. They're going to go through your application in probably under a minute, easily. You need to have something that's going to be able to catch their eye and be interested, because they're going to read some boring essays before you, and you don't want to be another boring essay in the stack. Because if you don't catch out to them, they're just going to put you to the side. I'm just going to be honest. That's kind of how this works. Like they're just going to have a stack of papers. They're going to go through them, and you need to have something that just catches their eye and it really engages them in your paper. And the best way to do that is a story. 100% a story.
Okay. I think we're running out of time a little bit, but if there's like one final thing, like one final piece of advice that you give to any robotics student who is thinking about going to Georgia Tech or even any like engineering university as a whole, what would that piece of advice be? And you guys like did touch on it a little bit earlier.
Well, one thing I always like to tell everyone is when you're deciding a college, prestige shouldn't be the end all be all. Like Georgia Tech has a great name, MIT, Stanford, all the big names. But location is huge. Like even though you think it right now, your parents will definitely miss you when you go off, especially to other states. So keep that in mind. If you want to get away from them, that's a different story, and you need to think about that yourself. But consider the location. If you don't like cold weather, Harvard and MIT are probably not for you, even if you get in, right? If you like, say, want to go more into the research field and don't care as much about jobs and you really just want to improve your field, you might want to look to research catered schools. That might be like the UC Berkeley, Caltech for that example. And really find where you'd be a good fit. That's some of the things. Like Georgia Tech has a bunch of clubs. Other universities do. Georgia Tech has 6 maker spaces. They're all awesome. I couldn't find that anywhere else. That's one of the big reasons I applied to Georgia Tech. But really, find why you want to go to a college, and it shouldn't be the name. That shouldn't be your final end all be all. Yeah, just make sure the place you're going is the right fit for you, and the major too. You can always switch your major, but if you just keep struggling in a major that you don't even want to be in just because other people have told you, oh, go into this major because it has better job prospects. I wonder what they were saying about CS back then. Just go for what you like to do. Figure out what you're good at doing, figure out what you like doing, balance those. Colleges, figure out what you like living in, what type of academic environment. Are all your friends going to one university? Do you like those friends? Right? Think about your environment, think about your goals, and think about the people you'd be around. I think that's the big stuff.
For me, I would say no matter what college you go to, the main thing you're there for is an experience and what you're going to be doing there. Like I could be at Georgia Tech. If I'm in my room doing classes all day and nothing else, then I didn't really take much from the opportunity I was in. No matter where you are, set yourself out there and work on what you're truly passionate about, because that's what's going to get you further, especially in the job market. If you have a resume with a bunch of projects you've been working on, or stuff you've been doing in your free time because you're good at time management, even doesn't matter if like for somebody from Georgia Tech or not, your experiences and what you put your time into doing is going to matter the most, I would say. So if you're in college, have fun, but don't just worry about classes too. Worry about what you want to do on the side, what fun you want to have, and it'll come back and help you.
Stick
right,
to your
well-
goals.
Yep. Well, thank you, Aarush and Deep, for that. I think that was like 10 minutes of pure good admissions advice for listeners out there. So it was definitely helpful to me, and I hope it's helpful to everybody else. And again, thank you so much. You guys are the first like college students we've interviewed and first admissions advice that the listeners have heard too. So thank you again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your experience at Georgia Tech.
Happy to be here.